great to meet you. I'm looking forward to getting into the new album, Your Life in Music. So thank you for taking a minute out.
I love it. Yeah, yeah. I appreciate it. Thanks.
You bet. So before we get into Gilded and Silver, I want to begin with 5 years ago, this pandemic was rearranging everything for all of us, especially musicians. How
Oh,
did you
yeah.
survive the pandemic of 2020, and how is it radiated into your world today?
Oh boy. I think 2020 changed a lot of things for me personally. And for the better. And every time I say that, people say, "What?"
Yeah.
But it gave me some time to do things that I haven't had enough time for way too long. Um, I learned how to meditate. I started like gratitude practices and just getting more in tune with nature. I'm kind of a pagan, so just getting out and walking around and, tuning back into the nature around me was really, really good for me. Um, I ended up, of course, I wasn't playing out as much then, but a couple of times there was a cabaret festival that I was supposed to participate in that didn't get to happen. So that was fun. Um, but otherwise, yeah, I was kind of stuck at home like everybody else. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna paint some pictures and I'm gonna, write some music and I'm gonna, you know, be a witch.
Yeah. Well, I think I've heard that a lot from people. There's a lot of people that took advantage of the quiet on the planet and recalibrated their existence, and I think that was a good thing, especially for musicians because things move so fast, so
Yeah,
many moving pieces and parts. So it was probably good to just slow down a little bit.
yeah. And navigating the whole Zoom teaching thing,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah, learning curve there for sure.
yeah. So let's talk about the new album. Talk to me about your artistic vision and how good it feels that it's out and just kind of your visceral feeling on it.
Oh boy. It's so thrilling to finally have so much of the stuff that's been in my head out into the world now. It's great. Um, I have a partner who's been helping me with this, and uh, almost exactly a year ago, we put out my first album, and that was like a dream come true. And it all worked out so well. I was just so pleased. And we had a few tunes left in the can that it just didn't have space on the first album. So I thought, why don't we just like make a few more and put out something else? So that's what we ended up doing. I'm lucky enough to have two kids who are musicians, two of my three. Um, the oldest is a bass player, and the youngest is a drummer and a pianist, incredible jazz pianist. So I got to have both of them play a little on these albums, and that was really joyful because we got like the mind meld,
Yeah,
they could just read my mind.
yeah,
So I don't have to ask for anything.
yeah.
But yeah, it also gave me the opportunity to meet some really great Seattle players that I had not met before because I wasn't out there like on a full-time basis. So now I know all these great musicians and I've become more familiar with the venues and I'm playing out a lot more. It's fantastic. It's very exciting.
So are you familiar with Mark Lewis, the saxophonist?
Oh, that's one I don't know.
Yeah,
He's still here?
he's wonderful. He's come to Kansas City a few times.
Oh,
Um
write
and
that.
and yeah, he's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You should look him up. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Um, I have discovered another fantastic saxophone player here. Kate Olson has
Yeah.
played on a number of these cuts. She's just phenomenal. I just love her.
Yeah.
So I try and get her for everything, but of course she's real busy, so
Sure.
I get her when I can.
So what are you hoping a listener gets from this album?
I'm hoping that this will spark some joy. Um, okay, this is maybe TMI, but I've dealt with some pretty chronic depression all my life.
Yeah.
That's genetic for sure. Um, but I finally got a doc who was really, really a good listener and really helped me. We worked on some medications until I finally got what the thing that actually worked. It was like, oh my God, is this what other people feel like all the time? This is amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so I feel like my music has changed a great deal. It used to be a lot sort of darker and more melancholy. And now I feel and hear so much more joy in it than there used to be. And I think that's a great change. So I'm hoping that the listener will pick up on that.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a bit of whimsy in there. I like to take songs from other genres and jazz up the chords and, make it swing or do something Latin, that kind of thing. So there's lots of, I mean, being Canadian, there's some Canadian content on here, just like we have to do in Canada. So yeah, it was a chance to take some songs that have always been in my head as favorites and turn them into jazz cuts. So I really hope that that's fun for people.
So take me back to the beginnings. Where were you born and raised? What was the beginning of this journey into the music for you?
Um, Grew up in southwestern Ontario, so not too far from Toronto. And my whole family is just filled with musicians of one type and another on both sides. Um, my dad was a music teacher, barbershop singer, church organist. So, I mean, I was a choir kid from the day I could stand up. And it was in our home all the time. And he had some eclectic tastes in music. So I got exposed to a lot of cool stuff. Um, and then I was a musician all through high school. I was in every ensemble I could get into and, the shows. Um, and I took some, I didn't go into music immediately after high school. I actually went to art school first. Um, but about 10 years later, um, I ended up starting to sing in public because I was um, participating in a group art show with some other people. And we had a meeting about what we should do for the opening. And somebody said, "Oh, we should have some music." And my roommate at the time was great guitar player. And I said, "Oh, I can figure something out for that. Just, yeah, leave that with me." And so I went home and talked to her, and she said, "Well, why don't you sing? I'll play and you can just sing some stuff." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." "Oh, yeah, I can do that." So we put together this little set and we found a drummer friend, and a boyfriend of mine at the time was a sax player. So we just got the four of us together, learned like a half hour of standards, and performed at this art opening. And it was like the giant blitzkrieg light bulb went off in my head. It's like, oh, this is what I've been missing. Okay, right. And so I started just trying to get out there and sing, but I discovered that most of the other musicians, they had vernacular that I didn't have, which made it harder for me to explain sometimes what I was looking for. This is what I hear in my head. How do I get it into their heads? And so I thought, damn it, I want to know what they know.
Yeah.
So I went back to school. I went back to music school. Was doing a degree in what was the specific thing? Jazz performance with the jazz intensive. um, and so it just was. I had so much fun in music school and in art school. But yeah, that's what made the big change for me because I really knew what I was doing and how to communicate it to other people. So it's kind of took off from there.
Who were early influences? Who did you kind of emulate?
Oh boy, Etta James, Dinah Washington, Sarah Vaughan for sure. Oh, goddess. Um, those were three big ones for me. And once I was in music school, I got exposed to a lot more, learned a lot more about Ella Fitzgerald and older people like, of course, her name's going to escape me now. But like the Fletcher Henderson sort of era, big band era singers, some of whom kind of faded into obscurity when some of the more well-known singers kind of took over, and people kind of forgot about some of these older big band singers. And so I just love them, listen to a lot of them. Um, those are the big ones. But of course, I had all this pop and rock stuff in my history too, and classical singing from choirs and from school, and it's just kind of a whole mash of
Yeah.
things in my head. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What was the first live jazz show that you saw, or first live concert that you saw that started the dream, that started making you think that might be something you want to do with your life?
Oh boy. Um, Well, the very first concert I ever saw, other than barbershop shows with my parents, was I was, I think I was 15. I keep saying I'm 16, but doing the math, I think I was 15. And it was with a high school friend of mine named Dave, who is now my partner in this endeavor. Uh, he took me to see Rush. Um, and I love saying this. It was at a hockey arena in London, Ontario. I mean, how Canadian is that? Um, and I'll never forget right at the end of the show, Neil Peart stood up and threw his sticks out to the audience, and my friend Dave, who was a drummer at high school, managed to fight for one and take it home. And he was so thrilled, so excited. He was showing it to everybody at school the next day. Look, this is where he hits the rims. You can see the marks. You know, it was really fun. And that was the first time I'd ever been to anything that big. Um, and I've been to a few big jazz shows over the years too, which is, of course, is a very different situation. I got to see Betty Carter twice. That was mind blowing. I got to see, oh gosh, what's her name now? It's earlier here for me than it is for you, so my brain's not quite awake.
Yeah.
Um, Shoot, I might have to look it up. But another woman who had been kind of a big influence on me. See her face. Shoot, I'll look it up. Uh, yeah, and I got to sing a couple of times in the Vancouver International Jazz Festival. And when you are, you know, one of the performers, you get a free pass and you can go see everything. Oh my God, I did. I crammed as much in as I could. It was phenomenal. Yeah.
So what do you like the best about being a professional musician? What's the best part? What gets you up every day?
Mm. Um, the whole process from creating a song to giving it to people on the stage is really fascinating. I mean, process has always been kind of important to me, in visual art as well as this. How do you get from A to B to C? I always find that interesting. So, learning to write my own tunes and then um, put them in the right format, getting the right harmonics to go with a melody, writing words. I always liked writing poetry, so that's kind of an outlet for that. And then relaying it to other musicians and hearing what they do with it. My God, that's fascinating to me. That's one of the things I love most about jazz, right? You can play the same tune with five different groups of people and it'll sound like five different experiences, completely different. I
Yeah.
just love that. I love what people bring to the table, right? Which is kind of why I tend to write loosely. I just kind of put in chord symbols, right? So I'll see what somebody else will do with it. I might say, okay, let's do this kind of feel and this tempo, and then just see what they come up with,
Yeah.
you know? It's really great. Sometimes, like for instance, on the new album, there was one tune. I had thought it was going to be kind of a more of a funk feel, but as we were setting up in the studio, getting ready to record it, the drummer started just messing around, right? And I was like, that's great. Do that. Let's do that. Oh, and it turned into this sort of like semi-Latin. I don't know. It's just really hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that's exciting.
So why do you love jazz? Why do you love this art form we call jazz?
Most of all, improvisation. It's the only, it's really the only current form of music where people are called upon to compose on the spot, like all the time. You're expected to. I mean, they tell us that back in the romantic classical days, people like Mozart and Beethoven and, Haydn, they were always improvising during performances. What they wrote on the page was kind of the starting point, but they would then sort of embellish and so on. We don't have any of that recorded, so we don't know. But here, you get to do it every time. And scatting is really important to me for that reason. So I do it as much as I can. And I turned into a real theory nerd when I was in music school. So just navigating, cutting the changes. I mean, it's cool.
So everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, fans, colleagues, everyone you play with, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are? Yeah.
I think sometimes I am too laissez-faire. I've heard musicians several times, mostly in the studio or in rehearsal, say, "It's your band, man. What do you want to do?"
Yeah.
Because I always kind of like, "Oh, well, this could work or that could work. Why don't you try this? Or why don't you try that?" Um, and I think some musicians are like, "Just tell me what to do, because I don't, I
Yeah.
don't know." But I like to be perceived as the easygoing, roll with the punches kind of person, because shit happens all
Hmm.
the time.
Yeah.
Last gig I was playing just very recently, everybody's using iPads now for their charts, including me, and the guitarist and the bass player were both reading off one iPad, and it shut down in the middle of a song.
Wow.
And so suddenly, like, they were looking at each other like, trying to fix it. And the sax player was soloing at the time, so I kind of looked over at them and I'm like, what's going on? And they couldn't tell me in the moment. So, and I couldn't see their iPad, so I didn't know exactly what was happening. But they were like playing this like C minor 7 chord for a long time.
Yeah.
And the sax player was looking over going, what the hell?
Right.
Okay, I'm going to play this scale for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was really funny, but it's the kind of thing that you can't get upset about. It's life,
Yeah.
So it came out just fine. Nobody died. That's one
Right.
of my favorite phrases.
Yeah. Everybody was safe. So
Yep.
let me ask you this. What are you doing to promote this live shows? If anybody wants to pick up a copy of the album, any of the good business, where do they go?
Mm. I do have a website, and you could buy, physical copies from there. I'm on all the streaming platforms. So for live shows, I'm using social media a lot, even though I'm not happy with any of those people.
Yeah.
Um, what else? There are several platforms here in town where you can advertise your stuff. There's like Bands in Town. There's Easy Out. They're kind of like online zines.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? There's another one. Anyway, that kind of thing. So whenever we get a new show, plug it in there, and it comes up on their calendars. So anybody who is looking for something to do or looks at those things regularly will see that stuff. That's really helpful.
Yeah.
And word of mouth.
Okay. And I will put links in the show notes. Heather, this has been great. Thank you so much. Best of luck on the release and everything else. I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Right. It's been fun.
Kansas City musicians, filmmakers, and creatives, this is your invitation. Don't miss Sound to Screen, a one-day music and film workshop on July 19th, 2025 at UMKC's Katz Hall from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Learn how to take your song from concept to screen, bring your instruments, connect with local artists, and enjoy a special masterclass with members of Kansas City's own The Freedom Affair. Spots are limited. RSVP now at soundtoscreen.kccreativecity.com or just search for Sound to Screen on Facebook events.